Folks, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to episode 35 of Recommended Album to Review. Alright, this week I got a band that I know and an album that I've heard, but I haven't heard in a long time. And I've never talked about this band on the channel. And this is a band that's really hard to describe, but I'm going to try my best. The album is Come On to My House, and the band is Sparks. So if you're not familiar with Sparks, Sparks was a duo, two brothers, Russell and Ron Mael. And they were, I remember seeing them as a kid in the 70s. They'd show them on TV. I thought for the longest time they were a UK band. They're actually American, but they sort of made their name in the UK. And this record was their first hit on Island Records in the UK. These guys were, their stage presentation, you had Ron playing the keyboard, dressed very conservatively, would kind of stand very still, sort of dressed like an old banker, hair slicked back, and he had this little mustache like so, and he would just kind of play the keyboard and just kind of do these weird eye movements, like, kind of look surprised. And then his brother Russell was this flamboyant front man, with the, the long hair back in 74 anyway, and, dressing up like the total sort of flamboyant rock star. And, you would not think these two guys were brothers, but they made some really, really cool music. And let's talk about the players on this band. So of course you've got Russell Mael's the singer, Ron Mael, the keyboard player, who writes basically all the music. And this was the musicianship on this album is great. You got Martin Gordon on bass, Adrian Fisher on guitar, and Norman Dinky Diamond on drums, percussion, and castanets. And it was produced by Muff Winwood. Okay, so this record came out in 74. And as sort of an all-encompassing description, I would say this basically is very sophisticated pop music. Why I say sophisticated? Because the musicality, the arrangements are very complex. It's almost like there's prog elements in here. They were part of the glam thing in this period in their career anyway. I hear, some Roxy music, kind of David Bowie similarities at times, but it's those bands, but at a much higher sophisticated level musically. These guys had a lot going on. Their songs are very complex. And as complex as they are, though, they're all, roughly 3 minutes, typical pop song length, super melodic. The parts are really, really interesting, and it really, really keeps you engaged. It's one of those records that, just kind of flows and never kind of leaves you, like every song on this record is entertaining. There's some songs, of course, that are better than others, but there's really no dogs on this record. I mean, it's pretty consistent all the way throughout. Vocally, Russell is, he sings quite high. Quite often he's falsetto to normal voice. He's kind of bouncing back and forth. At times he's got a character in his voice. To me, he sounds a lot like Mark Bolan at times from T-Rex. But with, I think, a little more range and, a little more vocal chops. But, their music is quirky. It's complex. It's very pop. It just got a lot going on. But it's good. It's good and it's concise. So let's go through the tracks. First song on this record is "This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us." This was a hit off the record. Man, it's like a little mini opera. There's but it's so interesting and catchy and hooky, and it's one of those tunes that you got to listen to a couple of times to sort of appreciate and really, uh, digest all the different parts. Uh, but a really, really catchy song and a great way to start off the record. All right, what follows that is Amateur Hour, which I believe was another hit off this record. This has just got an infectious chorus. It's got a real European feel, especially on the chorus. It's again it has an operatic kind of feel to it, especially in the chorus part. But it's keyboard driven. Like, all these little flourishes going on here and there, keyboard wise and instrumentation wise. But Amateur Hour is a fantastic track. You got Falling in Love with Myself Again. This sounds almost like a poppy waltz. Dun 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 dun. But it's again, it's catchy. They are so inventive in their songs that you know it's got a sort of a 3/4 kind of feel to it. It's sort of a waltzy thing, but it's so damn hooky, and the parts are so interesting. It's just another great tune. All right, here in heaven, you got this descending sort of guitar line. There's a sense of urgency in this one, and then it builds into this nice crescendo, then it disappears again. It's, I should mention too, there's always a lot of dynamics in all of their music. I mean, there's high points, there's low points, there's build ups, there's, parts where it sort of comes down. But, yeah, Here in Heaven is, it's another great tune. Then you got Thank God It's Not Christmas. This is one of the longer tracks. It's at 5 minutes. Um, it's got a really, really infectious verse, and then the chorus just opens up, and it's this sort of big sounding, sort of epic chorus that comes in. That's, again, the dynamic, kind of a calm verse, and then like the big chorus. But and a 5 minute song, but it takes you on a ride, like all their songs do. They take you on a ride, and it's a great ride. Then you got I'm gonna probably say this wrong, but Hasta Mañana. I think it's Hasta Mañana, Monsieur, and that's one of the more straightforward songs. It's got a really cool sort of guitar riff that runs through it, and the guitar work on this song. There's some really nice little fills and solo bits, and that's one of the songs where the guitar is prominent, and yeah, it's another really hooky, catchy tune. There's so many hooks. Every song is hooky. The verses are hooky, the choruses are hooky. It's nonstop. Talent is an Acid. It's got a kind of a sing-songy kind of feel to it, kind of upbeat, kind of happy sounding thing. It starts off with a drum that reminds me of some of the Prince drums, but no Lynn drum here. It's a real drummer. But and then it's got the again the chorus that is complete departure. But this is again one of the more. This is actually one of their more straightforward tunes. All right, I got Complaints. I don't even know how to describe this one. It's just catchy as hell. I'm just gonna be repeating myself because every song has got the same kind of quality to it. Complaints, da na na na, complaints. It's just a really good, infectious, hooky song. I don't know what else to say about it. I got In My Family. Again, every part is completely different. Every part is hooky. It's got a sing-songy feel to it. In my family. I mean, it's all contagious. It's all contagious. Another great track. Another great track. You got Equator. I hear, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm hearing like almost like sort of a very French kind of feel to this, like old timey kind of French songs, do 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 do, like just very European kind of feel to some of these tracks, and that's an influence in there as well. I don't know, maybe the time they spent in Europe, but yeah. Equator's awesome as well. You know what? This band is so hard to describe. There's a lot of proggy elements because of quick changes and little, you know, little stop starts and then little fills that come in and this and that, but always with a pop sensibility. Everything is, it's like as they're writing it, they're just coming up with all these amazing parts, but with the common denominator is they're all hooky and they're all very poppy. It's just really clever, sophisticated pop music, played by great composers and arrangers, because they have all these parts and the way they weave them together and sort of seamlessly is what makes this record really cool and really really interesting. If you're not familiar with Sparks and you want to hear something that's different but cool, I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's really different, but it's really cool. Check out this record, Kimono My House by Sparks. If I was to rate this record out of 5, man, this would be a definite 4. It was cool that, and thanks to the subscriber that recommended this, I had listened to this record in years, and listening to it again just kind of, reminded me again of how amazing these guys were. They never made an impact really in North America. They were, I think, much bigger in Europe, but and there's all like a very European thing to kind of everything they do, right? On this record, anyways. So, but yeah, check them out. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that like. Consider subscribing, and we do these every week, every Thursday at 7 o'clock. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday at 7. Cheers.